Okay, thanks, Lindsay.
I believe we're good to go, Mayor Harris.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll open up the regular council meeting Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Item 2.1, February 17th, 2026 agenda. We do have one change. Are there any other changes other than the one change from council? Who would like to make a motion? Councilor Knight.
I move that the February 17th, 2026 agenda be amended with the removal of items 4.3, Crossroad Rodeo Society annual update.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? That's a motion carried. Kinza, I can't see a couple of councillors on my screen. Is everybody here?
I think everybody that's here is visible, I believe.
Okay, I might just have to expand my screen a bit. There we go. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, we have everyone here, Mayor Harris.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and item 3.1, proposed February 3rd, 2026 regular council meeting. Are there any edits to the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Through the chair,
Councilor Brennan, go ahead.
I move that the minutes of the February 3rd, 2026 regular council meeting be accepted as presented.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried. We have a couple of delegations tonight. I'll go to 4.1, Canadian Pacific Kansas City Limited, with Mike Lovecchio, Director, Indigenous Relations and Government Affairs.
Thanks, Mayor Harris. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to join you. Just a little bit of context. This request came shortly after the municipal elections last fall, and following some personnel changes that my team has gone through, I'm finally joining you tonight. So appreciate your patience as we got to this stage. You can hear in my voice that I've got a touch of laryngitis. So I'm going to limit my comments to just some opening context about CPKC, and then I welcome your questions. Happy to address any concerns or questions, issues that you have directly, if that makes some sense as a way to proceed.
That sounds great. Thank you.
And you can hear me okay? It's not coming across too scratchy?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay, good stuff. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see the presentation. There. Can you see it? Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah.
Great. So first off, people ask, what's the KC part of CPKC? Canadian Pacific has been a presence in your community for over 100 years. Who the heck is KC? 3 years ago, we purchased a railroad in the United States and merged with them the Kansas City Southern. We are now Canadian Pacific Kansas City with contiguous operations in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. And just for reference, if you've heard about a trade mission that is going on this week to Mexico, CPKC is participating in that trade mission, as are many of our agricultural customers. And the Mexican market is an incredible opportunity for us. So we're the only railroad in the continent that connects all three countries directly. We have 20,000 miles of track now, connecting 30 ports, auto facilities, more than 200 transloads. It's a unique value proposition within the market, and operated with a best in class team of railroaders. And this just gives you a sense of the scope now that we have. Safety is foundational to everything we do. We have been, for the 3 years that we have been CPKC, we've been the industry leader in safety, and that builds on 17 years of leadership at Canadian Pacific. Safety it informs every decision we make. I'm going to move this. There is a copy of this presentation that will be circulated to council, so I'll just move it along. One of the things we like to highlight is our emergency response assets. You see some of them in these pictures. These include transfer trailers, firefighting foam trailers. We also do significant number of exercises, and your fire department can access training that we provide specifically for first responders, and that's something we hope to work closely with you on. In terms of technology, you see the tracks every day going through Crossfield. There's a tremendous amount of technology hiding in plain sight that helps us achieve that industry-leading safety record. I'm going to take a quick drink. That's better. Either side of the town of Crossfield, we have something called hot box detectors that read the temperature of each wheel in the train and the bearings within each wheel in the train. And if they're outside of a normal predicted range, it sends an alarm to the crew on board the train and to our operations center in Calgary. The crew can then bring the train to a controlled stop, get out, and inspect. Alternatively, and then they can make decisions. Should the car in question, is there a concern? Is it a false reading, et cetera, et cetera. It turns our crew from being purely reactive. A bearing fails, the wheel seizes, a derailment ensues, to being proactive, getting ahead of the problem before it impacts the community. There's other examples such as you see up on the screen as well. Bottom line is there's a tremendous amount of technology that underlines our commitment to safety. Something you are seeing every so often through Crossfield is our hydrogen fuel cell powered locomotives. Those are actually being built in Innisfail at a facility there. These are experimental, but as part of our overall commitment and interest in sustainability, we have gone somewhere that the original manufacturers did not go, and that is into a zero emissions locomotive. We have a number of them in the fleet now, operating in yards in Calgary, Lethbridge, and operating long-haul trains through Golden in our coal loop. They're still very much in the experimental phase, but we have proven that you can, in fact, have a zero emissions locomotive, and we hope to commercialize this technology. Something that's close to my heart, two hats I wear at the company. Our Indigenous engagement includes a locomotive that you occasionally will see through Crossfield, and that's the Every Child Matters locomotive. That is a partnership with the Orange Shirt Society. You see Phyllis Webstad there on the nose of the locomotive. That picture was taken once the locomotive was fully protected, so she could be on it without personal protective equipment. That picture was taken a couple of summers ago in Calgary. We've just renewed this partnership with the Orange Shirt Society through 2029, and it brings access for our employees, access to Phyllis and her team to create awareness for them, and of course, this magical locomotive that we have. Our community engagement um, moves in two sort of parallel directions. That's food security under the Holiday Train program. We just had our most successful holiday train ever this past December and November. The holiday train now reaches roughly 200 stops per year in Canada and the United States, all the way from Texas to the East Coast to the West Coast. And with the closest stop to Crossfield being in Airdrie. And then heart health through the CPKC Women's Open, where we invest in cardiac health and total of 73 million over the last decade to cardiac health. So we've focused our investment on a couple of key approaches. Finally, something that I ask that be in your community emergency plan, and that is our the CPKC Public Safety Communications Center phone number. If any of you saw sparks coming off a train, would you know what to do? If there was a fire near the tracks, farmers burning off his field, and it's going out of control, would you know what to do? That's the number to call, and we ask that it be in your community emergency plan. We also have a community emergency planning guide and our corporate crisis response plan, both posted on the CPKC website, which you can download and review at will, or I can send the link to town staff. That's it for my formal presentation. Look forward to your questions. And again, thank you for the opportunity to join you tonight.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate the presentation. Does council have any questions? And if you can, say through the chair, then I can address you. Okay, well, I have a couple.
Go for it, Mayor.
Awesome, that's great. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great partnership for over 100 years for sure. And as you know, things change and towns grow and
You bet.
trains get longer.
They do.
And I think that at times, the train here goes across at least 3 of our approaches.
3 of your
and crossings.
crossings.
Yep. And it's there for more than the 5 minutes that's in your policies. How do we change that or get around that?
So it's a great question. It's a very frequent question. You're in good company in asking it, first off. Let me start by just telling you what it's a rule. It's a part of the Canadian Railway Operating Rules, the so-called 5-minute rule. What the rule states is that a train cannot be stationary on a crossing for more than 5 minutes. The crew must monitor the crossing and clear it when traffic is present, and must clear expeditiously when emergency services are present. So if the train stops for 4 minutes, then moves and stops again, the clock resets.
You know what that seems like, right?
I know exactly. We've all sat at a crossing there. I
And
absolutely
for
know
me,
what
it's
it.
not so much about people sitting at the crossing, but our emergency services are on this side of the tracks.
Yep.
And they still have to get to the highway and to the 2A and to other places. And that's a big concern for our town.
One option that you could consider is putting a camera on one or all of the crossings. That's something we support with a live feed into your fire department or your ambulance or RCMP detachment, whatever you wish. It's very cost effective these days. Webcams do not cost a lot of money. and it gives them. It's actually something that the city of Airdrie did a few years ago. Actually, more than a few years ago. It was probably a decade ago now. Excuse me. So that's an option. We also monitor the crews to ensure compliance. If you think a train has blocked the crossing for more than 5 minutes, by all means, call that number that I put up on the screen and report it. We will investigate it. Similar to track speed, these rules they're not sort of, well, they were 5 minutes and 20 seconds, therefore we're okay.
Right.
That's not how we look at it. The rule is the rule, and crews are either compliant or not. And we will investigate the black box on board the locomotive. Will record those parameters. So we're able to look back in time. The only thing we ask is when you report it, provide us either a locomotive number, which is the numbers on the side of the locomotive, or on a rail car, some sort of identifying mark that gives us the ability to easily reach into the computer system and pull out relevant information.
Yeah, I think that's all great, but now, the onus is off of you guys and all onto us and our residents.
I disagree. We will monitor, we do our own enforcement internally. But again, we appreciate it when communities let us know and residents let us know if they think we're not following the rules. We take that concern seriously.
Okay. So next question is, the train either stops on Limit or Lout, often to switch or pick up cars or whatnot. There's also a siding just to the south of Crossfield and
Yes.
one to the north of Crossfield.
Yes.
What are the chances of using those sidings more often than the one right in our downtown?
That's a concern I can take to the local operating team. It quite honestly, the crews have some flexibility in where they choose to carry out the work, either coming out of our main yard in Calgary or on their way into the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be, excuse me, there may be a good reason to do it in town. If, for instance, a car has been identified or a wheel has been identified through the hotbox detector. If you see a single car sitting on that siding, or maybe two cars sitting on that siding, a reasonable assumption is that the hotbox detector has flagged one or both of those cars. And in a case like that, you want to, as soon as it's safe to do so, you want to bring the train to a stop and set off the car so that it can be repaired and requalified.
I
But
think that's a
again,
fair statement.
all that
40
said, I can talk to the team and say, where possible, do the set-offs on the sidings north and south of town.
That'd be great. I think 4,300 people in town would appreciate that.
Fair.
They would
Fair
love
enough.
you.
Fair
That's
enough.
fantastic. And on that note too, often we have some of the tankers, and they're the ones that generally hold more toxic materials or materials that are somewhat explosive. And I know that even when the tanks are said to be empty, they're not exactly empty. They still have a percentage of something in the tanks, and that can be when they're more volatile than others. Often we see these tankers parked in our downtown area behind the big way and behind the
Yep.
stores.
Yep.
I'm also curious about that. Is there another place that we can put these? Like, we're just, a big concern on safety. And as you stated, safety is your number one concern as well. How can we get those put somewhere else and not parked in our downtown area?
It's I'm going to start by asking you a question. Do you know simply by seeing the tank car whether it is loaded or not with a product?
Well, I don't know if that matters because whether you say it's empty or not, there's still a percentage in there. And at times that could be when it's more volatile. And
The
they
reason
generally have the placards on them still anyway.
the reason I ask is if it has a placard on it, then it is either loaded or last contained, not yet purged.
Yeah.
If there's no placard, then either it contains a non-dangerous good or the tank car has been purged. So the only way for you to know for certain is whether or not the car is placarded. And that is it's a subtlety that is not immediately obvious to people. So it's an opportunity for a little awareness as to what you're actually looking at. That said, we are using and under the Rail Safety Act and the Canada Transportation Act, we're using the infrastructure in an appropriate manner. There are safety protocols to be followed and tested and confirmed and validated related to the temporary storage on a siding of a tank car with a dangerous good in it. They're not ignored. And quite honestly, we're not making money if the thing is sitting in the siding. It's never going to be more than a temporary maneuver, but it is both an expected use and a typical use that for a variety of operational reasons, we may, on a short-term basis, typically hours, stage a car on a siding such as you have in downtown Crossfield. Again, I'll make the team aware that you've made note of it and that you have some concerns and ask them to factor that into their planning.
That would be great. And also that would be appreciated too. Thank you so much for that. So it seems like you're on the hot spot here.
That's all good.
I'm sure you've had these questions from other municipalities too.
Absolutely. And a session like this, the value is in the exchange.
Yeah.
It's in the learning. Because it's, for as much as it's a railroad is something you see in your community every day, the nuance to being an operating railroad is not something that the vast majority of people are familiar with. So that's why we want to do these sorts of sessions. So whatever questions you have, please fire away.
Great, just a few more. Thanks for
Good.
everyone's patience. I think you probably talked to staff a little bit about this one. Crossfield's growing. We're growing to the north. We
Yep.
do have some residents that back onto the tracks now. And we were curious if something can be done about putting some crossing arms and lights at the further just north of Crossfield so that the whistle doesn't blow as it goes through the new part of town.
I will ask our public works team, they look after the crossing agreements and crossing equipment, to reach out to town staff to have that discussion. I'm just making a note of it now. Can you be specific? I don't have a map in front of me. Could you give me the road reference? I think it's a range road, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Russ, I might want to see if you can give me some help there.
290, Kim, 290.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I did ask Russ, but thank you.
Range Road 290, got it. Okay.
Great, thank you. Appreciate
Sorry.
you following up with that.
Through the chair, Mayor Harris.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to just confirm with Mike there. It's Township Road 290, not Range Road.
Township Road. Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks, Russ. We're getting there. I only have two more.
Good stuff.
And I don't know if this can happen, being Airdrie is the last stop, but part of your community involvement is food banks. Crossfield has had a food bank for only 2 years now. They're fairly new, they're doing great, and they're doing a great service to our community. What are the possibilities of the holiday train stopping in Crossfield?
The first step would be to send us a letter requesting it.
Okay,
There is typically, I think that's a 4-stop day if memory serves. So there's some room in the schedule to do it. But we would start with the formal request. And now is a good time to make that request. We'll start planning in earnest for the 2026 holiday train in about 8 weeks. So
great, that's good. And even if Crossfield isn't on the stop, how is it possible for our food bag to be a recipient of some of the food and funds that go through the holiday train?
it's a great question. We made the operational decision years ago that we would limit the donations to the communities where we were stopping, or it was going to get unmanageable.
Yeah,
And so we have never made donations to, call it, adjacent communities where stops occur. It's a question we get a lot, and it just, again, purely from a management perspective, we just couldn't find a way to make it work. That said, if your food bank has a stake, they want funding for a specific initiative, they could certainly apply through our community investment website for a specific initiative that they were looking for funding for. It could be, capital, it could be, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. But the holiday train funds flow only to those communities where the stops occur.
I thought so. And you can't do it all. I understand that for sure. Great. And then last question, you talked about the community emergency plan for trains. I don't know if we have that in our emergency plans. I'm sure after this, it'll probably get put in there. But my question is, it would be, and we've had it in Crossfield, we've had sparks fly, and our fire department responds and whatnot, and we're still a volunteer fire department. So I know that we would charge back.
Yep.
But what does CPKC do for fire departments along the rail, if anything?
A tremendous amount. We're big fans of attending training night and doing specific familiarization on railroad equipment. Much of the equipment that you saw in that one slide is mobile, and typically our hazardous material officers will bring some of that equipment to the training night. We also have specific training. We'll send, fully at our cost, members of your fire department to various training centers around the continent for specialized training. I will have our hazardous materials officer, Chris Miller, reach out to your fire chief and
Great.
start that conversation.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much. That's the end of my questions. Thanks for answering them so well.
Thank you. Thanks for tolerating the scratchy voice.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about your voice later when you get off the call. All right. So anything else from council? Okay. If there's nothing further, can I get a motion? Thanks for your time.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Councillor Kosh.
I move that the Canadian Civic Kansas City Limited presentation be accepted as presented.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's motion carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for your time. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Bye now. Okay, we'll move on to 4.2, Collycut Siding Golf Club Annual Update with Kenny Nittig, Club President, and Jason Gorda, General Manager.
Kenny, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead,
Do you
Jake.
want, do you want me to go first or?
Yeah, no, you can go total. So
All right, all good.
let me know when you need me.
No worries. Okay, everyone. Well, I think from what I've heard from Councilor Knight there, this is a first for the golf course here to actually address council. So thank you for letting us do this and have a chat about what we've been up to the past year. For most of you, I know some of you, but I don't know all of you. So I'll just introduce myself as it's my first year at the golf course. I'm Jason Gorda. I've been a resident of Crossfield since 1995. I've been a member at the golf course since 1996. I've basically golfed there for the last 30 years. Last year, graciously, I retired from my regular job, and the golf course board of directors decided that they would like to let me run the golf course, which was very generous of them. So in my first year, it was rather trying, but I think we made a lot of different changes and steps, and we're going to continue to work on that and feed off that as we move forward. I submitted my report to Lindsay at the town. I don't know if everybody has read it. Rather than me go through everything point by point, I'd like to just highlight a couple things there that we're going to be doing next year that you might be quite interested in. One of them is remember the old Vista Crossing site building? We decided, after it's been sitting in the backyard there at the golf course, we moved it onto the property this year. And we're going to use that as our junior performance center. So if I share my screen, hopefully you can see that. Do I have the right slide? That's what it's looking like right now. And in the spring, we're planning to finish the landscaping of it here. So that would be something that we're going to actively use on the course. And hopefully it's a valuable asset to the golf course there. The other thing that we've been working on here this last year is that we're going to build our maintenance shed. We're starting fundraising. We're starting to, let me just cancel that. We've been working with an engineering group to try and get the maintenance shop to replace our old barn that's been there. If everyone has gone at the golf course, you've seen it. It's at Green Quonset. We're just in the planning stages, but we're getting close to actually having finalized drawings to apply for our development permits. Last fall, we talked with the development officer, with the town engineer, and with the landscaping lady. And we've come up with some sort of idea and location for it. Now I just need approval from our board to try and figure out where we're going to put the location of it. This is the current alignment. And Kenny, I apologize here. I have not shown you. There's a few options that we have, but we'll explain it there in our next meeting. Again, everybody, can you see my screen? Okay. So if you're familiar with the golf course here, this is Western Drive at the top of the screen. And this is the parking lot area. Of course, it's obviously topographical. It doesn't really show relief pictures of it there. This is where our clubhouse currently is. This is where the maintenance barn, sorry, the clubhouse is down here. This is the maintenance barn that's there right now. It's in bad repair and it's ready to fall down. So we're proposing to put it in the treed area here at the back along Western Drive. We have a couple different proposals, basically with alignment. This is the other one there, Kenny. Okay. But once we get approval with our superintendent, our golf course management, and the board of directors here, we're going to finalize this proposal, get Sedulous Engineering to actually draw this up and get us some drawings to you. So likely we'd like to get moving on this sometime this summer, get our funding figured out. We have a reasonable amount of savings, but we're obviously going to be looking for a little bit more. And that's pretty exciting to the course, along with everything else that we normally do here. So, and one last point that I'd like to say is that with the golf course We're deeply committed to trying to service the town of Crossfield and its residents. So our focus, as much as possible, is going to be with the town residents, and we strongly encourage them to come use this valuable asset here in town. It's a great course. We have nothing but rave reviews from Calgary and Airdrie. So it's something that we want to make sure that our residents do know and will promote as much as we can. And that's also going to be done with possibly our junior summer camps and other junior programs that we have. So. And that's kind of it, unless anyone else has any other questions for me.
Great. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate the updates for sure. Does council
Just
have
one
any
more
que-
thing. Oh, sorry, Mayor Harris.
That's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, well, I can't leave without at least saying my 2 cents here. So, no, I really wanted to thank the town with the fluent water and helping us out here where you guys can, and everybody involved here. It's been fantastic. So the lease got done very short negotiation. We lost every point here, but you guys did great on your negotiations there. So, but no, we look forward here to kind of getting this last touch done with this maintenance shed. There does get to be a safety concern and everything else there. That old building's got to come out of there. So, but once that's done, I think it's really going to help out what that place looks like. So far the membership's very happy here. We're actually oversold on memberships right now, and we've got a waiting list here of people looking to get in. So we're in a pretty good spot here. So thanks for that. But I
That's
just
great.
want to
Thanks,
say,
Kenny.
yeah.
Appreciate that. All right. Questions from council? All right. Looks like there aren't any questions. I don't have any questions either. But geez, I just really appreciate you guys being here. Love that Crossfield is on the map, partially because of the Collie Club Siding Golf Course and the junior program and all the good stuff that you guys have put out there. It's just so great to have such a strong not-for-profit and asset within Crossfield. So thank you. Oh, Councillor Knight.
I just wanted to comment on that presentation, Jason. That was pretty good. I liked how that was information for the board, got it in the advance, or for council. That's interesting to see 37,000 rounds too. So I thought that was for your first time sending a presentation. That was pretty good, I thought, on my side.
Yeah, thank you. The golf course has done, it's exploded for the amount of rounds that we've done. It used to be somewhere in the mid-20s for many, many years. And now in the last few years, it's up to 37. Likely, if we have a dry summer, we're going to be pushing 40,000. And we have a lot of tournaments here. We're trying to be somewhat selective on who is taking our tournaments here, but we have some large ones that we manage. We have the large tournament tent, and we have a quite big parking lot and a good golf course. So there's a lot of demand on the course. That said, though, we are very cognizant of not trying to load it up full of out-of-towners, let's say, and tournaments. We want to make sure we respect our equity members and our annual pass holders and our public who wants to golf here.
Perfect. Anyone else from council? Okay, great. Well, thanks again. Appreciate
welcome.
your time. And who from council would like to make a motion?
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Councillor Knight.
I move that the Collicut Siding Golf Club 2025 update be accepted as presented.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? And that is motion carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to bylaws 5.1, Fire Services Bylaw 2026-02, Lindsay Nash, Legislative and Administrative Services Manager.
Good evening, Council. I'm bringing forward a report regarding the Fire Services Bylaw 2026-02. The purpose of the report is to consolidate fire services bylaws, combine 3 existing fire-related bylaws into one comprehensive and modernized framework, which encompasses the Fire Permit Bylaw 2022-12, Fire False Alarm Bylaw 2016.
Can anyone else not hear her?
I can't
Lindsay,
hear.
you're muted, I think.
Yeah, hear
Sorry,
you.
that's me talking away to myself.
thank
Can you
you.
hear me now?
I thought it was
Yes.
me.
Okay, sorry. I thought I unmuted myself, but apparently I didn't. Um, sorry, we'll start all over. I am bringing forward the Fire Services Bylaw 2026-02. The purpose of this report is to present a consolidated fire services bylaw for council's consideration. The proposed bylaw combines 3 existing fire-related bylaws into one comprehensive framework. The 3 combines the Fire Permit Bylaw 2022-12, Fire False Alarm Bylaw 2016-03, and the Fire Services Bylaw 2023-04. Maintaining multiple bylaws has created duplication and administrative insufficiencies. Consolidation improves clarity and strengthens enforcement and aligns regulations with current operational practices. The proposed bylaw repeals and incorporates the fire permit and false alarm bylaws, updates and modernizes the fire services framework, establishes offenses and defined penalties for non-compliance, clarifies fire permit requirements and fire ban provisions, regulates fireworks and pyrotechnic devices, permit required a minimum age of 18, establishes clear cost recovery authority, including false alarms, non-compliance incidents for mutual aid and contracted services. It also formalizes the structure, authority, and responsibility of the fire department. Administration recommends that the Fire Services Bylaw 2026-02 receives first, second, and third reading this evening. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions, as is Fire Chief Dax.
Thank you, Manager Nash. Any questions from council? Councillor Knight?
Yeah, Lindsay, in regards to the 3 meters, the 7.6 part, a person may build, ignite, or allow an outdoor fire if it's located at least 3 meters. Did we have that rule in place before? I know that other surrounding areas, some are 3, Calgary's 2. I just know some people have some outdoor fire pits that might not be able to be 10 feet from the corner. And if we are only having a 1 meter height thing, maybe this could be a question to Dax too, the concern of it being 2 meters or 3. Did we have one of these before?
Yes, through the chair, it is under the fire permit bylaw. This is what we already had in the previous bylaw.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, any other questions?
To the chair.
Thank you, Councillor Kosh.
Just curious, have we always banned the sale of fireworks and use of fireworks? Or is that, what's the story there? Because I didn't realize that was an issue
How
or a
many did you
standard
get
thing.
off? Is that you?
Through the chair, yes, we have, it was in the previous bylaw to ban the sale of fireworks within the town limits. You are able to set them off, but we do ask for a permit for that.
Thank you. I have a couple other questions.
Yep, go ahead.
Like I understand probably the main purpose of this is to consolidate all these into one bylaw, so this might not be the time. But like for example, the fire pit regulations, I looked around and they seem like super strict, right? Like people have different fire pits. You could buy different size shape fire pits that might not exactly meet our regulations. Another question would be wood burning smokers. I didn't see specifically in this bylaw where it determines whether how that acts under a fire ban, whether that acts as a barbecue or as a fireplace, because it is wood burning, but physically it's like a Traeger is closer to a barbecue.
So Councillor Kosh, just to back up a little bit, could you, like even on the fire pit sizes and whatnot, could you turn that into a question so administration could be able to answer that for you?
Sure. Is there a reason it's so strict, and is it something that we can justify, or is it like so strict because that's just a standard municipal guideline
that we've copy and pasted from elsewhere, maybe. Maybe
Through the,
through-
sorry, go ahead, Councillor Posh.
No, and I don't, I guess like Dax being the fire chief, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I want to start all sorts of crazy fires, but it feels very restrictive.
Through the chair, I'll answer what I can, and then I will pass it off to Fire Chief. This, unfortunately, past incidences have forced us to put stricter regulations in from past experiences. I can't comment of what it is nowadays, but that's certainly something we can look at going forward. Look at considering alternating or altering. Changing these regulations. I don't know if Fire Chief Dax has anything to add.
Good evening, everybody. Through the chair, generally what we see is fire pits. They're all constructed really close to these dimensions. Anything that falls outside of this dimensional fire pit, we would ask for a fire permit so that we know and understand that there's going to be a larger fire. It doesn't mean that you can't have them. It just means that if somebody wants to have a fire larger than these dimensions, they would permit for it. Generally, the fire pit sizes are all going to fall within this range. And again, as a rule, we're trying to keep backyard fire pits on general sized home lots to an extinguishable or to a manageable level where it doesn't really get away on people.
Okay, any other questions, Councillor Kosh?
Well, my other question was about like wood burning Traegers or smokers and appliances of that sort. Because I read the entire bylaw and I couldn't see in there where it distinguished whether that was close to, it was, I guess, in a fire ban, whether that was a fire pit or whether it was a barbecue, because they act differently depending on what they're classified as. And just some clarity on that, I guess, or maybe a provision in this bylaw, because I've had this question smoking some ribs during a fire ban, thinking I'm using what is essentially a barbecue, but in reality it is burning wood. So I don't know where that falls.
Through the chair, I'm going to pass that off to the Fire Chief.
Fair.
Through the chair, cooking appliances like barbecues, including charcoal and wood burning, in typical settings of towns and or cities, they're considered cooking appliances and don't generally fall under the bylaw as you would see in more of the municipal rural setting. There is times where we will be under a fire restriction or a fire ban, but we would clearly denote that only propane barbecues would be allowed. I haven't seen this very much, but all CSA, excuse me, CSA certified cooking appliances would be really exempt from a burn ban. A burn is an open flame.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions from council? Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, Lindsay or Manager Nash, thanks for your report. Who would like to give first reading?
Through the chair.
Councillor Gustafson, go ahead. Deputy Mayor, sorry.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll move that the Fire Services Bylaw 2026-02 be given first reading.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's motion carried. And who would like to give second reading?
Through the chair,
Councillor Nielsen.
I move that the Fire Services Bylaw 2602 be given second reading.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? And that is also motion carried. And who would like to make third and final reading?
Through the chair,
Counselor Brennan,
I move that the fire services bylaw 2026-02 be brought forward for third and final reading with unanimous consent.
and is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's also carried. And who would like to give the final reading?
Through the chair,
Counselor Knight.
I move that the fire services bylaw 2026-02 be given third and final reading.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? And that is also motion carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to item 5.2, fees and rates bylaw 2026-01, Amber Roulette, financial officer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. The purpose of this report is to present minor amendments to the fees and rates bylaw for Council's consideration. The bylaw establishes the fees and rates charged for municipal programs, services, and facilities, and the proposed amendments are intended to ensure the bylaw remains current, accurate, and aligned with operational requirements for the upcoming year. Council approved the current fees and rates bylaw 2025-15 on December 2nd, and upon the adoption of this bylaw 2026-01, the former bylaw will be repealed and replaced in its entirety. Administration is proposing minor amendments to two sections of the fees and rates schedule, being the Amory Park Community Garden fees. A new fee is proposed to allow the purchase of subsequent 9-foot by 2-foot garden plots at a cost of $15 per plot where available. And in the fire services and personnel fees, proposed changes include the introduction of cost recovery for mutual aid and contracted response services, the addition of a fee for the fire chief personnel at a rate of $90 per hour, the inclusion of fees for specialized services. These services include foam use at market rate, absorbent materials at $60 per bag, hazardous material supplies at a cost plus 15%, and specialized rescue equipment at a cost plus 20%, as well as fencing or security services at that same cost plus 20%. So these fees were kind of pulled out of some of those bylaws that had just been consolidated by Manager Nash in the fire services bylaw and brought into the fees and rates so that we're able to amend those fees without having to change any other bylaws. I'd also like to note at this time that the updated water and wastewater rates reflecting the 15% increase from the Mountain View Regional Water Services Commission have been included in the attached schedule. They were previously approved by council, but we didn't quite know what the rate was at the time that the fees were approved, so now we know. So as far as communication, all of the updated fees and rates will be communicated to affected user groups, and especially with that Amory Community Park Garden fee. We just wanted to sort of get that included in the bylaw so that when we start promoting the garden, maybe on a little bit less wintry day, we'll have those fees in place. And upon adoption, if council reads this bylaw 3 times, the bylaw will be posted on the town's website for public access. And at this time, administration is seeking 3 readings of bylaw 2026-01, the fees and rates bylaw, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Amber. Questions from council?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Amber. I always have a question for you, as you always know. How much will, I guess, adding, because we never charged for the fire chief before, is that correct? I when I read through it, it looked like we've just added it to it. How much do you think that will, I guess, move the needle on our budget there to add revenue on the revenue side for the year?
Through the chair, I don't think it'll be a substantial amount, but at least now we have a fee in place if we do need to charge. So historically we didn't. So yeah, just being mindful to know that we're able to collect on everything, and that we have the proper bylaw in place in which to do so.
Yeah, I agree. We need to collect for some of this stuff because, our ratepayers shouldn't be covering the cost of some of these items for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amber.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Knight.
Sure. Amber, before the rate change on the water, what was the over the minimum 1135? I tried to go back and find it. The cubic meter per rate we charged after the original, or the 1135 per cubic meter. What was that charge before?
So previously our minimum rate was 22. Sorry. So pardon me?
Just the minimum over, like the overage charge. Right now, when we go over the 1135, it's 469 in this new minimum. What was that before?
Okay, yeah. I don't have that here in my notes, but I can definitely bring that up. Just 1 second.
It works out to being $3 a cubic meter roughly for the other part. I was just curious where the 469 came in from. It just seemed like it was quite a bit of a jump after the original $3 a cubic meter.
Well, through the chair to Councillor Knight, that rate is higher than the rate to purchase from the commission because it is an overage. So it's a policy decision that any water consumption over that minimum amount is charged out at a higher rate, just to try to encourage water conservation and stuff like that.
I'm just curious how much we moved the delta up on that.
Yeah, previously it was 292.
For the overage?
Yes. Sorry, for water, pardon me, it was 395. Sorry, that was the sewer rate that I'd originally quoted. So it's 395 per cubic meter. So it's increased 18.75%, which is the 15% water commission, and then a 3.75% on infrastructure maintenance costs.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other councillors with questions?
To the chair.
Councillor Benson, go ahead.
The Avery Park charge $15 for the garden box. That's a year? I'm assuming that's a yearly charge. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Benson, yes, it's more like a seasonal charge because there's only so many months. But yeah, that would be per gardening season.
Okay,
and so
you.
the initial garden plot is $25, but if a gardener wanted to have a little bit more square footage, they could purchase an additional one for $15 if one was available.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else for questions? And Amber, I just have one, just curious about the 50% water commission rate. That's already been implemented?
Through the chair, yeah, the rates that you see included in the schedule are the 2026 rates effective April 1st.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, who would like to give first reading?
Through the chair.
Councillor Kosk, go ahead.
I move that the fees and rates bylaw 2026-01 be given first reading.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's motion carried. And who would like to give second reading?
To the chair.
Councillor Benson, go ahead.
Okay. I move that 2026-01, sorry, I don't have the exact number before me, can give second reading.
Okay, is anyone opposed? Okay, that's carried. And third and final reading?
Through the chair.
Councillor Nielsen.
I move that the fees and rates bylaw 2026-01 be brought forward for third reading with unanimous consent.
Okay, is anyone opposed? And that's motion carried. And who would like to give third and final reading?
Through the chair,
Councillor Brennan, go ahead.
I move that the, oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. Fire rates and bylaw. I don't know if that's quite right. I move that the fees and rates bylaw 2026-01 be given third and final reading.
Okay, and is there anyone opposed? That's motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're on the hot seat again. So item 6.1, 2025 carry forward request. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Harris. So this report outlines administration's recommendations for the 2025 capital carry forwards. There are no operating carry forwards proposed from the 2025 year. Carry forwards are for projects where funds were committed in 2025, but completion was delayed due to factors such as multi-year timelines, construction delays, resource constraints, or weather. Carrying these funds forward ensures the projects can continue without disruption. So we have a table here including the carry forwards that are proposed. The 2025 capital budget carry forward request of $1,588,903 represents approximately 40% of the overall 2025 capital budget, which was $3.963 million. For comparison, the 2024 capital budget carry forward request was 38% of the 2024 capital budget. So those projects that we're looking to carry forward include the Amory Park rink upgrades. So there are several outstanding items scheduled for completion in spring of 2026, including the installation of kick plates and the application of a rubberized coating to exposed materials. A final walkthrough has not yet been completed. The project is anticipated to be completed under budget. The Bike Skills Park and Pump Track. So only the municipal funding portion is being carried forward, as the other funding components are kind of external to the town's obligations. So the contractor has been selected, and council recently approved the design concept. Work construction is anticipated to commence in the spring, with the project completion expected in Q3 2026. The effluent storage cell invasive species response. So Alberta Environment, AEPA, and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans do not require the town to eradicate the invasive species. However, a screening system must be implemented. So initial engineering design for the screen is complete, with installation scheduled to occur prior to the 2026 effluent release. The Fire Services Master Plan. So unspent funds from Phase 1 of the Fire Services Master Plan, which covered the community risk assessment, will be carried forward to complete Phase 2 in 2026. The project is expected to be completed under the original budget. In the asphalt overlay program, the town engineer has reviewed and identified locations in the field and provided recommendations. As there is only one bidder for the project, it has been deferred to 2026. And the wastewater main capacity upgrade. So the Lot Avenue reconstruction and deep utility replacement project is a multi-year initiative. The engineering RFP was awarded to All North Engineering in 2025, with tendering scheduled to occur in Q1 of 2026. So that project, the bulk of which will take place during this construction season. Water and wastewater main replacement. So the project was substantially completed in 2025, with a small carry forward required to cover the consulting fees for the project closeout. It is administration's recommendation that council approve the carry forward of 2025 capital budget funds totaling $1,588,903. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Amber. Does council have any questions?
The chair.
Councillor Benson, go ahead.
The reference to the asphalt overlay in the field, I imagine in the field means the road system generally, not a field someplace?
Through the chair to Councillor Benson, absolutely, yeah. So they were just, like walking through town, just determining which roadways were should be included in the 2025 program. So that's been done. We'll just carry out that work in 2026.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, Amber, I just have one. I'm curious. If we can, when we go out for RFP, or instead of doing a standalone one for Crossfield, is there any possibility that we can tag onto Airdrie or Carstairs when they go out for their paving or RFPs so that we can get a better price?
Through the chair, I do, Tamir Harris, I guess you're the chair, so I probably didn't have to say that twice. I know that our Director of Infrastructure would be the best one to tackle this question, but I think that there would, and I'm going to let like Kinza wave her hands in the air if I start to go rogue here, but I think that with like the individual mobilizations, that there wouldn't be a lot of costs, like cost savings associated with that. But at the same time, it's possible to be explored, especially on shared assets, I think would be a good opportunity, like the Township Road 284A that we share with Rocky View, possibly, like there's opportunities there. But as far as lumping different municipalities, road projects, that's my take on it, is that there might not be that much cost savings associated with the separate mobilizations, but I'm sure someone could get back to you with more information.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I do think that there is some opportunity because we have such small areas that we're going to eat a lot of the costs. And a lot of times when you have bigger areas that you're paving, you'll get a better price on the overall project because it's bigger and they can be there longer and make, more money and that type of thing. For us, they could be in here in 2 days or a week and be gone. And we usually get charged way more, say per meter or whatever that looks like for the very little paving that we have to do. If we were to align with another municipality on some of this, we might see that cost go down. CEO Barney, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. So just to weigh in lightly, Amber did provide some good context there. It is definitely something that we've talked about at the senior leadership team. Are there opportunities for us to engage and partner with other municipalities to help drive costs down and contain some of those costs? There are a few barriers, like Amber had alluded to. Sometimes the mobilization, there is still 2 mobilizations, which then impacts the overall cost and isn't incredibly doesn't add to the cost savings component, I would say. The other part that we have to be cognizant of is some of our projects are undertaken and they have grant funding attached to them. And those specific grant funds have specific criteria attached to them. So we have to make sure we follow those criteria to the T when we're utilizing those funds. But for sure, we have 100% looked at opportunities to work with partners where possible, and we'll continue to explore opportunities where there may be either efficiencies identified or cost saving for sure. Anytime we can do that, we are always looking for those opportunities and open to them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you both. Any questions? Any more questions from council? Okay, if there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Deputy Mayor.
I'll move the council approve the carry forward of the 2025 capital budget funds totaling $1,588,903.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? Great, that looks like motion carried. Thanks, Amber. Okay, moving on to item 7, councilor's business. Continue to have my weekly meetings with the CAO. I spoke with a resident on preserving the play school building because the town doesn't own that building and Rocky View School Division does. He is going to be the champion and try and talk to them, see if that's something that they desire. And I also talked to him about, look, we don't have a lot of staff. This is kind of a special project. So if this is something that he would like to champion moving forward, that would be great. And if we could provide even a letter of support or something like that, that's what we could do. I reached out to our MP, William Stevenson, regarding the CHIF funding. As you are all aware, we didn't get the CHIF funding for our wastewater project. And I asked him, you know, how can we ensure that we get this funding in the future? And if there are any tips that he can give us for that, or if there's any advocacy from his end that he could do. And he said he would get back to me on that. I judged the 4-H presentations. There's some incredible speakers there, as you guys saw at our mock council meeting. We had a couple of 4-Hers in there and nothing fazed them at all, not even the questions. So, you know, they did great. Attended the strategic planning session. And then I went to Mayor's Night of the Arts in Airdrie. And I spoke with our Fortis rep, Sonny, and he might have opportunity for us with some lights. I don't know if they're going to fit or for anything that we need to use or not, but administration is going to chat with him and see if we can. And if they do fit in one of our spaces, that would be free lights for us. We would have to pay for service, but it's a little something from Fortis for Crossfield if we can make it work. And then our very own Miles Canyon played and was up for an award at Mayor's Night of the Arts. And then we also had a business owner of Mexican Craft Boutique. She sells the painted cowboy hats and whatnot, and she's from Crossfield too. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. As well, I attended on the 10th, the strategic planning session. Found it very valuable, and hopefully that we'll be able to use all of those ideas in the next 4 years to increase the value of our town.
Great, thank you.
That's it for me.
Councillor Benson.
Thank you. I also attended the strategic planning meeting, and that was it for this time. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Brennan. You're muted.
Classic. Right on. I don't know if, yeah, of course, I attended the strategic planning session this past week. I thought that was pretty cool. They always, well, I don't know if this particular group in general, but they're always held really well. And then this on, what was the date? I couldn't get the dates to work in that committee report thing, but it was last month on the 26th, I believe, Saturday, Marigold Library Board meeting. This particular meeting was just a general quarterly meeting. They wanted to reiterate the importance of the approval of Schedule C, which as of last meeting was already completed. The majority of the meeting was pretty focused on internal affairs, just cleaning up day-to-day operations. Some important stuff for Crossfield would be our local library is having a what the heck? Marigold Library Board is undergoing a plan of service master plan update. This is an event related to this being held at our local library where they're looking for input and feedback from folks. It's being held February 25th at 6:30. My next meeting with them is Saturday, April 11th. And I included a bunch of stuff that they had, just meeting notes for you guys to go through if you were interested. Beyond that, nothing to report.
Great, thank you. Councillor Kosh.
I attended the Mountain View Regional Water Service Commission meeting, which was good. I attended the strategic planning session. which was great, was well ran. And today I met a bunch of new residents pushing vehicles out of the snow. So that was a lot of fun as well. That's all.
Thank you. Counselor Knighton.
I was actually ill last week, so I didn't have the commission meeting which Councillor Koch thankfully tapped in for me. I didn't make the strategic plan, but I'm sure you guys did great. Weekly calls with John, but there was a few days there I wasn't doing anything last week, so that's all I got to report.
Thank you, Counselor Knight and Counselor Nielsen.
I attended the strategic planning meeting, which was very interesting, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. And just one final note, just asking residents to be patient as we get through this snow event. I know our team is going to do the best they can to remove everything as soon as possible. Another thing I want to ask residents to do is not to push their snow out onto the street. It's bad enough with the drifting as it is to get through. If you don't have a four-wheel drive, I think there was a lot of people, as Councillor Koch noted, that are stuck on the street, and pushing your snow out onto the street just adds to it. It doesn't help anything. So thank you. Okay, who would like to make a motion?
Through the chair,
Councillor Knight.
I move that council business be accepted as presented.
Is there anyone opposed? And that's motion carried. And we'll move on to the administrative update, 8.1, Q4 quarterly report, Amber Roulette, financial manager, Patty Telfer, executive assistant.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. I'm going to share the presentation on my screen, and I want to make sure that I have everything working right before we get started here. So, share this guy. Sorry. Okay, can you hear me? If I move did it just move to the next? Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Perfect. Move this out of the way. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Oh, is Patty, are you ready to go? Patty,
Yes. Can you
okay,
hear me?
perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, perfect. So the quarterly report is an integrated report focused on key strategic, operational, and financial results for the town. The report includes an update on the activities of the organization, its capital, projects, programs, and services, key trending data, and financial results for the year ended December 31st, 2025. Presenting with me today is Patty Telfer, our executive assistant, who helped coordinate and compile the report. Let's face it, she did most of it. So shout out to Patty. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is me too. Sorry, Patty. Stand by. This just feels so weird. Okay. Administration has prepared the attached 2025 fourth quarterly corporate report to update council and the community on the key initiative activities of the organization, services provided to the community, trending data, and insight into the work being undertaken as it relates to council's strategic 2021 to 2025 strategic plan. The report also provides financial highlights for the quarter and includes information such as capital project highlights and procurement activity, along with the preliminary year-end operating reporting. Details on debt and reserve balances and investment activity, as well as mayor and council expenditures, have also been included for additional financial context. The report is prepared to support transparency in municipal operations and financial reporting. Oh, Patty, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I'm wearing headphones here. So Q4 activity highlights provide an overview of key trends in permitting, social needs, protective services, customer engagement, and facility usage. In Q4, development and building activity slowed compared to recent years due to a combination of seasonal factors and current market conditions. Development permit issuances, including new home starts, declined compared to the same period last year. This decrease was partly due to limited land availability caused by wastewater capacity restrictions. These restrictions were addressed last quarter when council approved a polishing treatment wetland system, paving the way for sustainable development moving forward. Building permits also decreased compared to the same period in 2024, with lower estimated construction values and associated fees tied to overall construction activity. Safety code permit volumes also decreased. However, updated fee structures implemented in early 2025 resulted in higher overall safety code fee revenue compared to the prior year. In regards to social needs, food bank usage increased moderately from Q4 2024, with 181 households accessing food hampers and 208 receiving supplemental top-ups. The annual Christmas hamper program continued this year, and 106 households received seasonal support. Participation in local preventative programs remains strong, with notable growth in both youth and family engagement compared to 2024. In Q4, the additional youth events were held in response to the Alberta teachers' strike in order to support continued social connection. Protective services. The fire department responses in Q4 remained consistent compared to 2024, with slight changes in call types, which align with typical seasonal patterns. Fire-related incidents continue to benefit from prevention efforts in addition to favorable environmental conditions. False alarms increased modestly, pointing to an opportunity for ongoing public education. There were no hazardous materials, gas, or CO calls, reflecting effective collaboration with local industrial risk management efforts. Municipal enforcement responded to 47 calls. They issued 103 warnings and 25 tickets. Key initiatives in Q4 included increased parking enforcement patrols to facilitate effective snow removal, increased enforcement in school parking areas, and expanded traffic and bylaw patrols. The town received nearly 2,000 customer service calls in Q4. Calls were primarily related to administrative inquiries, payments, development, and public works following several weather events. Overall, call volume saw a slight increase compared to 2024. The facility and amenity trends highlight that the Pete Knight Arena bookings remained steady overall in the fourth quarter, with a slight decrease in the main floor usage and moderate increase in loft usage. The Crossfield and District Community Center experienced favorable growth in usage, with rentals doubling compared to the previous year. And the town's online presence continued to grow, with new followers and subscribers across social media platforms and email newsletter subscriptions, supporting effective communication with residents. So the 2021-2025 strategic plan has now concluded. With the election of a new council in October 2025, there were no notable activities to report under the previous plan during the fourth quarter. Looking ahead, Development of the new strategic plan is underway. On February 10th, Council participated in a strategic planning session facilitated by an external consultant. This impartial guidance helped focus discussions and enable Council to thoroughly examine the community's needs, challenges, and opportunities. Throughout this process, administration provided vital support by supplying background information, data, and logistical assistance, ensuring Council could make well-informed decisions. Moving forward, administration will implement Council's priorities through aligned work plans, budgets, and initiatives under the new strategic plan. Once finalized, the 2025-2029 strategic plan will be shared with the community to promote transparency and foster engagement. The Q4 capital project highlights include the Amory Park Outdoor Rink upgrade, which continued, as Amber mentioned, throughout Q4 and is approximately 90% complete. The rink board installation was finished on December 19th, and the fire department staff immediately flooded the surface to ensure the rink was available for use by Christmas. Remaining work includes kick plate installation and the protective coating expected in spring 2026. The Alberta First Responders radio communication system was fully implemented at the Crossfield Fire Department on November 1st, completing the transition to a secure province-wide communication network. This upgrade significantly enhances emergency coordination and public safety for the town and surrounding areas. The 2025 sidewalk improvement project was completed in early Q4, replacing approximately 23 lineal meters of sidewalk across 141 locations in town to improve accessibility and pedestrian safety. In late October, the Safe Road Improvement project saw the completion of the first of 4 identified pedestrian crossing upgrades. Pedestrian activated lights were installed at the intersection of Lott Avenue and Railway Street, as were durable zebra markings to enhance safety in the downtown core. The hydrant and valve replacement project was also successfully completed in October and came in under budget. This work supports the ongoing reliability of the town's fire protection services. And that concludes the capital plan highlights.
Thanks, Patty. So as of the end of Q4, the town's annual capital program is largely complete. Several projects reached completion during the year, as noted in the current slide, while others will be carried forward as previously mentioned, and Council approved the 2025 capital carry forward. Among the completed projects, of which I believe there are 26, budget performance varied, with some projects coming in under budget and others over budget. On a net basis, however, the completed capital projects were delivered at $377,802 under budget overall, reflecting effective cost control across the capital program. This table represents procurement that was awarded between October 1st and December 31st over a value of $25,000. Now getting into the financial reporting highlights. This first, the revenue side. At the end of Q4, administration has completed a year-end review of operating revenues and expenditures. Q4 results reflect actual year-end activity and include accruals to ensure revenues and expenses are recorded in the period in which they were earned or incurred. This approach provides a more accurate picture of the municipality's financial results for the year. The following operating variances highlight significant differences between budgeted and actual results and provide context for year-end financial outcomes. This operating variance report is unaudited and based on information available at the time of preparation. Final results may change as part of the year-end audit process. Notable revenue variances include government transfers exceeded budget by 15% due to unanticipated funds received for several programs, including the Wellness Network, Canadian Mental Health Association grant, medical first responder training, and additional Canada Summer Jobs grant funding. Penalty revenue, 14% of the budget remains, which is unfavorable as penalty revenue for the year was less than expected because of lower account balances for both utilities and property taxes. So it's a good and bad news story. Investment income exceeded the budget by 36% as investment income is trending higher than expected, impacted by prime rate and the timing of cash outflows required for capital expenditures. And other income exceeded budget by 115%. Unbudgeted Florida streetlight rebates, along with cost recovery revenue from the fiber optics program, are contributing to the favorable variance, which is slightly offset by decreased fine revenue resulting from the community peace officer position vacancy. So notable expenditure variances include under salaries, wages, and benefits. 4% of the budget remains consistent with the vacancies reported throughout 2025, along with some training opportunities which were canceled or deferred until 2026. Contract and general services. 6% of the budget remains. Lower than expected costs relating to legal expenses and RCMP funding, along with fewer snow events, resulted in lower snow clearing costs. This is impacted by additional costs to repair multiple water main breaks and sewer repair costs. So even throughout these wide kind of bands or categories of expenditures, there's a lot of different things happening, right? Some budget items are under budget while others are trending higher than budget. But overall, the variance for contracted and general services was a favorable one. Materials, goods, supplies, and utilities. 30% of the budget. I'm going to have to check on that because I have 3% in my notes. So somewhere there's a typo, and I believe it's the 3%. 3% is correct. So that's a typo on the slide. Of the budget remains mostly due to reduced material and utility costs, including fuel related to mild weather. Reduce spending on economic development as the town develops the wastewater storage strategy, as well as utilizing predominantly internal resources for the council orientation sessions. However, these were offset by increased water purchases due to growth and the impacts of the water main break in Q3. Bank charges are over budget at year end, with new policies adopted in 2026 to address the increasing credit card processing fees. So the 2025 operating period has concluded. However, some transactions may not yet be recorded, and these results have not been audited. Consequently, the figures remain preliminary and are subject to change as part of the year-end audit process. Based on information available at the time of preparing this report, the town is projecting an operating surplus of approximately 1.014 million, primarily driven by higher than budgeted revenues of $686,000, equivalent to 6.41% of budgeted revenues, and expenditure savings of $328,000, equivalent to 3.66% of budgeted expenditures. It is important to note that this operating surplus is calculated using the methodology required by the MGA, or the Municipal Government Act, and is not directly comparable to the surplus reported in the audited financial statements, which are prepared in accordance with public sector accounting standards. And in accordance with the Reserve Policy C304-25, the annual operating surplus is intended to be allocated between the Municipal Stabilization and Contingency Reserve and the Capital Projects New Capital Reserve, details of which will be covered a little later in this presentation. So the town's debt limit is approximately 42% of the provincial limit. The town's annual debt servicing costs remain $856,000. which is considerably lower than the provincial limit. And again, these limits are mandated through the MGA. So this is a snapshot of the reserve balances as of the end of December 2025. Again, these numbers are preliminary and subject to change through the year-end accounting and audit process. So in the fourth quarter, preliminary funding allocations were determined for the capital projects funded through reserves. The table above shows the carry forward amounts for the capital projects that will take more than 1 year to complete. So that's in that capital carry forward line. Carrying forward unspent budget ensures that approved funds remain available to complete these projects in the next fiscal year. The allocation of 95% of the operating surplus, as mentioned in the on a previous slide, has also been incorporated, including a transfer of $251,810 to the Municipal Stabilization and Contingency Reserve, bringing that reserve to its optimal balance, and the remaining $190 have been allocated to the capital project new capital reserve. The final reserve balances will be reported in the audited financial statements available prior to May 1st, 2026. So a little bit of update on the investment activities. So far in 2020, up until quarter four, activities completed in investments include developing the policy, which was approved by council in July, and also in quarter four, we we chose an investment manager and invested in an investment portfolio containing a mix of bonds and principal protected notes that meet the town's asset allocation strategy. And that occurred just late in December. So the full accounting of investments, both the high interest savings accounts and the investment portfolio, will be included in the 2025 audited financial statements. So disclosing mayor and council expenditures ensures transparency, accountability, and responsible use of public funds. The cost of committee meeting expenses have been allocated equally to all council members. Overall expenditures came in within 4% of budget. And once accepted by council, the report will be available on the town's website. It is administration's recommendation that council accept the 2025 fourth quarterly corporate report as information. And on behalf of Patty and myself, I'd like to thank you for your time. We are available to answer any questions that council may have on the report and presentation.
Great, thanks Amber and Patty. Really great information, good presentation. Council, any questions?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I think it's a great presentation. The only thing that I would do is maybe add a little color to, and I'm glad that we are under budget on a whole bunch. A couple of, stick out there, especially the fire engine and the, what was the other one that I was looking at? The hydrant replacement. Maybe just put a little color to why we were over, because the public is going to see this and they're going to go, okay, well, we put this out to tender for getting the new fire engine. Why was it over? What was the reason why we're 22 grand over on something like that? And then the hydrant replacement as well. Did we add more? Were we not anticipating? So maybe just a little color behind the ones where we went over budget.
Sure, through the chair. So with the hydrant replacement, And the valve replacement project really should have been one project. So what happened was there were fewer hydrants that hold on a second. Nope, there were more hydrants repaired than originally thought and fewer valves. So in order to, ensure that all the hydrants in town were functioning, it was decided that we would focus more on replacing hydrants. And since there were fewer valves that needed replacement, it was just handled that way. So hindsight, definitely Director Altina would have combined these two projects into one because they are replacing similar water infrastructure. But in order to be transparent in how we are coding our invoices and stuff, we chose to, definitely keep them as two separate projects, understanding that we found cost savings in one and spent a little more in the other. And with the fire truck, I think there was a portion of, there was some, where is the fire truck? Here.
Or down from the
Oh,
top.
thank you.
Yep.
There's some retrofitting that occurred after the fact. I also think that there was some budget in 2024 allocated to that engine that maybe didn't get pulled forward into 2025. We'll see how that all flushes out when in the final year-end accounting. But overall, there were some additional charges to get the fire truck up and running that we see here.
Okay, and the last one I have here is going back to, sorry, I gotta go, I'm using two computers here. The invasive species. Maybe you can just remind me how that's working out. We had a budget of $150,000 for that. Was that just for the screens, or is that for something else? Because earlier in our meeting here, we really don't have to do anything with the invasive species other than the screening. So we got a whole bunch of money sitting there, and we spent $111,000 on what? Knowing that we don't have any, we don't have to do anything with this with the carp.
I through the through the chair, I saw Kinza's finger move. I don't know if she's able, or maybe she was just scratching, but I know that yeah, it was determined that we do not need to eradicate. Therefore, we just we need to come up with a screening process or a screen implementation in 2026. I would have to get back to you on exactly what expenditures were made through 2025, but I do see that Kinza's unmuted, so she might be able to supplement.
Okay.
Through
Thanks,
the chair to Deputy Mayor Gustafson, I will try. I mean, Director Altina would be the best one to answer that for you. I will try to add some context for sure. So Amber is correct in that Alberta Environment no longer requires the eradication of the species, but they do require us to screen. Now in 2025, I know we did engage an engineering service to help with the design of what that might look like. So we have some criteria that have to be met in relation to that screening. So it's not, I guess, wide open. We do have some specific criteria to meet and some design work that has to be done. So some of that work was done in 2025, and that would reflect some of the cost incurred there. In 2026, we'll have to move forward with the implementation of the screening so that when we proceed with the release of the wastewater, we're minimizing the potential for the species to be released back into the creek or for them to re-enter, any more of them to re-enter into the lagoon.
Thanks, Kinza. I just was, and I hate to say this, but did we waste any money by not asking the question to Alberta Environment environment? Or did they come back and say after the fact that, hey, we don't have to do anything with the invasive species? I just, I hate throwing away money because it's not like ours, it's, my neighbors and friends and that, but you know what I mean, right?
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor Gustafson, you're absolutely correct, Deputy Mayor Gustafson. We did not take any action to move forward with procuring any treatment for the eradication of the species prior to verifying with the province what they were requiring of us. So no funds were spent on, I guess, treatment to eradicate the species. All of our efforts went towards the direction that the province was providing us, which was to manufacture screening to mitigate the potential for releasing the species back into Nose Creek.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had, Mayor.
Through the chair, if I can just wrap that one up. In 2025, we spent just over $11,000 on the screen, and we have requested to carry forward 100,000 into 2026 just to wrap that project up with the proper screening solution. So this is showing that overall there was a cost savings from that original $150,000 budget. Obviously, the work hasn't taken place in 2026, so there could still be further cost savings. But at this point, we're just being conservative in that carry forward amount.
Okay, thanks, Amber. I see what you mean now, including the 100,000 carry forward. That includes that is in the actuals. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll go to Councillor Knight. I think you had your hand up previously.
To the chair. On the development and building permit activities, Amber, I think the top part of that tab of full year and full year for 2022 and 2023, say full year because we didn't track by quarters, I think, but is that accurate for the 2022 that there wasn't any development permits in 2022? Because the permits below it show there are some, like the building ones. There just wasn't any development permits that year.
Through the chair, Patty, are you able to comment on that, or
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So from what I understand, Sherry had to go back through the records for previous years. We can't at this time confirm if there were or were no permits issued. There probably were permits issued, but the information that Sherry was gathering to collect prior year statistics was a little bit convoluted. So she had to kind of like really dig in there and pick out numbers to even collect the 2023 and 2024 stats. I can bring that back to you if you would like me to have Sherry dig deeper into the 2022 stats.
No, thanks. I just was curious why it was just which is fine. When you just see the numbers below, it just made it seem like there was just maybe a gap missing on there. So that's totally fine. And then last question, Amber, I know the bank charges were bad last year and I can't remember the answer to this. Did we put anything in place to give options to residents to kind of lower that going forward, or are we going to charge a percentage or a full percentage of the processing fees, or what's our plan forward on those heavy bank costs?
Through the chair, so the policy, our write-off, AR write-off and collection policy had a provision included in that policy that outlined certain transactions that would be exempt from credit card, so we wouldn't be able to use credit card as a payment option. Property taxes was one of them. It's not, you don't typically see municipalities accept credit cards as a form of payment for property taxes, because as we see, it can become quite costly, and it's it's just not a best practice or a standard procedure. We've also eliminated certain things like refundable deposits, offsite levies won't be accepted by credit card and stuff like that, just so that will help minimize those credit card fees going forward. Yeah, that was kind of how we approached it. Did reach out to some other municipalities on other things that they have initiated, but nothing really seemed to have any significant uptake. So at this point, this is where we're at, and I guess we'll continue to assess and see if there's any modifications that need to be made to that policy. But for now, that's the direction that we're heading in.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I do see lots of places where you want to make a significant payment, they just charge you the 3% or whatever. And that's what ends up happening. So, no, thanks. I appreciate the answers. Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Other questions from council?
To the chair.
Councilor Benson.
Yeah, just a clarification on the reserves. So have the reserves actually, what will the reserves be at the end of 2025 going into
Okay.
2026?
Right. So this, as I mentioned, the reserve balance you see here is preliminary. The final reserve balances will be reported in the audited financial statements. I applied some estimates to this table to get to what I believe is somewhere in the neighborhood of where our reserves will be at the end of the year. So what we see at the beginning of 2020, or sorry, yeah, at January 2025 was 6.7 million. But then if you remember, or actually Councilor Benson, you weren't on council at the time when we went through the exercise of looking at those reserves that were held as offsite levies, and we actually removed a large portion of those offsite levy reserves and moved them into deferred revenue. So you won't see them in as a reserve anymore, but long story short, this table kind of represents some of the additions that will be adding to the reserves. So you can see in the municipal stabilization and contingency that $254,000 addition. 251,000 of that is that the transfer of the surplus. And yeah, so going through there and the applied is basically reserve transfers to fund capital, so our capital expenditures throughout the year. But as I mentioned, the final numbers will be reported in those financial statements on May 1st, by May 1st.
So if we were to compare apples to apples here, then the actual numbers that we're looking at January 1st, 2025 are not exactly, because you've got some deferred income now that you pulled out of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that was the amount as of December 31st, 2024 or January 1st, whichever. So that does tie back to our financial statements. Sorry, through the chair. This does tie back to our financial statements, and then we'll ensure that the balance at the end of the year through the transfers to the additions and the transfers from reserves being applied, we'll make sure that ties to the financial statements at the end of the year when they're published.
And will they include the deferred income as well, or not?
No, so the reserves are that was the exercise that took place this year. We ensured that there was no deferred revenue sitting on our reserves. So these are actually accumulated surplus, right? So these are surplus funds, not deferred revenue. So deferred revenue will show up on our balance sheet, but they will not form part of our reserve.
So there is no deferred revenue in the balance in 2025, correct?
No, there was. That was I could definitely go through show you the notes to the the auditor report, pardon me, just needed to get the right thought there, where it speaks to that deferred portion and exercise that took place in 2025 to identify the deferred amounts and remove them from the reserves.
Okay, so I'd appreciate seeing that. And then I guess, so I'm just looking at this thinking, our balance is going down, but it's not really going down. It's actually going up because you pulled the deferred revenue out.
That's right. Through the chair, that's correct. Yeah. So you'll see our deferred revenue is higher than it was, and yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other counselor with a question? Okay, great report. Thank you so much, Patty and Amber. Really good information for not only us, but our residents. That's fantastic. Who would like to make a motion?
You're the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll move that the quarterly report be accepted as presented.
Okay, is there anybody opposed? And that's motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we're on to 8.2, outstanding action list. CAO Barney.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. So the outstanding action list contains all items that are currently underway. There's nothing there that has reached its due date or anything that has any significant updates that would have to be made since the last council meeting. So no changes requested from our end, but open to any questions if council has any.
Great. Any questions for CAO Barney? Well, looks like you're off the hook. Excellent. If there's no questions, then can I get somebody to make a motion?
Through the chair,
Councillor Knight.
I move that the outstanding items list be accepted for information.
Okay, is anybody opposed? That's motion carried. And a final motion to adjourn.
Through the chair,
Councillor Brennan.
a motion to adjourn at 7:58 p.m.